Hello. This is a review of a movie that is not recent. I'm breaking my only watches recent Marvel movies trend again. I watched it's a movie called The Edge of 17 on Netflix, which sounds like the name of a cheesy teen movie. It is a teen movie. It's not cheesy, or I don't think it's cheesy. It's a coming of age movie, like Perks of Being a Wallflower or The Breakfast Club or something like that. Uh, I watched it on Monday on Netflix. So I've been in COVID quarantine for the last week because I got COVID. I don't know why I looked back. The COVID monster's gonna come get me. I got COVID, so I've kind of been in quarantine for the last week. Not much to do. I watched this movie, The Edge of 17, on Monday, and then I watched it again the next day, and then I watched it again yesterday. I don't know what it is. Something about this movie is just clicking into place for me. I feel like most coming of age movies, even like well made ones, I find myself relating to the characters to a degree, but like to the degree in that every coming of age movie has a couple like universal high schooler experiences that you're like, okay. But most of the time I don't relate to the coming of age movies have a tendency to have a very like they have these almost fantastical like wish fulfillment plots. And this movie this I no I would say this movie avoids that, and that's what was really like I'm just really drawn. It stars Haley Steinfeld, who I really liked in Hawkeye, and I've just liked her in everything. I feel like she's of the bracket of like mid 20s, older edge of Gen Z actors. I think she is the most talented of the bunch of really really famous ones. I mean, maybe there's somebody amazing out there I just don't know about, but of the group of like Tom Holland, Zendaya, Timothy Chalamet, like all of those little people that are around the same age, I feel like she is just the best actor of the bunch, and her performance is just so real in this movie. Like there's something very real to her like awkward female character, and even the like the I'd say the writing is like she is giving 8 or 9 out of 10 writing like she's giving very very good writing a great performance, uh and it results in what to me felt like the most real. I don't know. It struck that chord with me. I guess. I mean, clearly it did. I've watched it 3 times this week. Now, would I have watched it 3 times in a week if I wasn't in quarantine? Probably not. But the fact that I watched it that many times, and the first time I was like, I liked that. That was good. Then the next day I was still thinking about it, and I'm like, I'm gonna watch it again. And I liked it even more the second time. And then, by the third time, I've seen it enough that it's no longer wowing me. But I mean, I would say, like, unless it's a movie I watched as a kid, the amount of movies that I've watched even 3 times, period, is like pretty low. If they weren't movies that I like grew up with. So for me to watch this movie 3 times in one week, I don't know, it just something about it clicked with me. Her character is just so like awkward, but not playing awkward, charming and funny, but not like playing the joke. And the writing around, and it's not just her. Every character in the movie feels really fleshed out. Like they avoid the pitfall of a typical coming of age movie where somebody has to be the villain. Somebody has to be the one-dimensional bully kid who either doesn't have any development or doesn't get development until midway through. There's no bully kid character. There's just a main character who is awkward and struggles to make friends, her best friend who has been with her whole life, her brother, who she has a difficult relationship with, her mom, who she also has a difficult relationship with, and the mom and the brother also have a difficult dynamic with each other. Like the family dynamics are really really good. And then there's the all too relatable male love interest character that is also painfully awkward. And at first, it's really interesting because at first she's not like the movie's not a rom com. The focus of her arc isn't really on love. Romance is just one more window into the teen lifestyle. This movie has a very loose structured plot. It's not a vibe movie. Like something like Lady Bird is a coming of age movie that is a lot more of a vibe movie where there is a plot, but a lot of it is just things happening to the character. This is like somewhere in between that and every other coming of age movie I've seen where there's a very clearly defined plot. I'm sure there are other examples of more vibe centric coming of age movies, but this one feels like it hits the. I think this hits the Edge of 17 hits the perfect happy medium for me, where it's a lot of it is vibes, just her going through her days, like just her going through her life. You really see her struggles, you see her connections. Woody Harrelson is her teacher that she forms this bond with, which is also their dynamic is great. I feel like the movie tries to place a lot of focus on their dynamic, but or maybe I don't know. It seems like they want you to place a focus on that dynamic, but it's really not like it's not that huge a part of the movie. A lot of this movie is just Haley Steinfeld as this character going around and doing things and like having with scenes with very little dialogue where she's kind of just talking to herself, like there's nobody for her to play off of. But the character is still so clear and the performance is still so like real and human. It's shocking to me. I haven't seen another actor in her age range portray that, and especially because this movie came out in like 2016, 2017, so she would have been like, now she's like 25 or something, but when this movie came out, she would have been like 20. Like the age where people get cast to play teenagers, but it's like easily the most convincing performance, and everybody else in the movie also gives a very good performance. They're not quite at her level, but they are giving good enough performances to match. I do really like the love interest character Erwin. How he kind of like at first she's only hanging out with him when she feels like lonely and wants somebody to hang out with him. It's like, oh bro, like don't do that to him. He's so nice and awkward. I relate to him. Don't do that to him. But then by the end she does like their relationship progresses really, really naturally. Like each time she hangs out with him, I can pinpoint moments where her character is like interested, moments where her character is not, where her character is detached. She's really good at playing the journey between this and Hawkeye, and like I don't know, I'm sure there are other. I haven't seen True Grit, the movie that she first, like the first big movie Haley Steinfeld was in. She's just so good at playing the journey of characters, like, and playing reactions. And that's how, like, you can have these scenes where she's just out doing stuff and it's, like, captivating. She doesn't need to talk to be, like, interesting. She doesn't need to be overwritten. Most teenage characters are a little overwritten. It was like, okay, we're getting the perfect little window into her life, and all the elements of the movie, we see how they stand on their own, but we also sit primarily in her perspective. Like the relationship between her brother and her friend, we see just enough of it that I believe it. I see just enough of it that I believe it, but not enough that I don't. But not enough that it doesn't feel a little out of left field, which it should, because for the main character it is out of left field, super out of left field. It's just everything about it is so natural. And then I'm trying to think. I really just like everything about this movie. It's been sitting with me for like several days, and I keep thinking about it. I keep watching it. Uh, it's just like a really like it has those feel good moments you want out of those this genre, but it also has the like serious subjects. Like the main character's father is no longer around, and she's dealing with the stress of that, and the stress of like how that has made her family relationship tense. And there's just like she plays this character who's down on her luck and kind of has just had a lot going against her, but is like trying. And the movie portrays so well the feeling of, and I didn't have this to this degree when I was in high school. I was not somebody who had like one friend in high school. I had plenty of friends in high school, but like I was still awkward. I was still like, it portrays so well the feeling of, and there's a monologue about this at the end, even kind of nailing the point home. It was like the feeling of like not being comfortable in your own skin, like, and like it depends on the scene. Like sometimes in some scenes she's in her element, she's completely comfortable in her own skin, like a good performance should. It varies, but then sometimes you can see she's so like nervous about herself and uncomfortable, and it sells that idea and really lets me buy into it in a way I never quite have with a movie like this, where I'm usually either like I'm too detached from the main character, either because they feel unrealistic or because their experiences don't represent mine. Her experiences don't necessarily one-to-one represent mine. I mean, if anything, I probably relate stronger to the love interest character. But the struggle of not feeling confident in your own skin, and like her character describes it as like looking down on herself, or like being out of her own body and like looking down on herself, and also just that feeling of irritation with when people around you are more comfortable in their own skin and you feel like you're not. It's like, why? Like she goes to a party at one point and she goes to the bathroom and she's like, why can't I just, don't be awkward, don't be awkward. And it's like those kinds of things are like, I don't know, that feeling is relatable, and it's not always so specific to high school. If anything, I feel like I felt more awkward in a lot of college than I did in high school. So like that if you've ever had that awkward phase of your of feeling awkward, feeling like you're awkward, because I would say as a character she's not even that awkward. She's a little standoffish, but that's another thing this movie does great. They don't try too hard to make the main character likable. Like a lot of times she gets into conflicts with her friends or her brother or whatever, and I feel like she's pretty clearly, if not completely in the wrong, then she's like doing herself disservice, making things worse for herself because of her attitude towards things. And that's what she doesn't go through this like insane emotional character arc where she starts as one person and ends as a completely different person. No, she goes through a realistic, normal character arc of realizing some of the ways in which she is making her own life more difficult and making steps to fix it. And that's what like that's what the actual experience of being young is like. It's not like, this movie doesn't feel like I'm watching the fantasized perfect world movie equivalent of what being a teenager is like. It feels like watching what it's actually like to be not even a teenager specifically, but just the awkward young person who's not quite comfortable in their own skin. The kind of person who eats lunch in the teacher's classroom, or the person who hangs out outside at the party, kind of awkwardly trying to find people on the edge to touch. The wallflower, but like actually the wallflower. Perks of being a wallflower. This is a side tangent, but that movie, the main character is a wallflower for like 2 scenes. Like, he finds his own band of goofy weirdos real quick. And that's what I like, is she doesn't really find, like, she's just somebody who struggles to find a group. And it's like that, and that is a very, and that's why she's very, like, possessive of her friends in a way that isn't healthy, but it's like you understand why her character is doing these things and why she's making things more difficult for herself, and you really like feel for it. You sympathize. There's just I have a strong empathy for this. I don't know, I kind of like fall in love with this character that is just like very relatable and very like she's kind of unlikable. Like she's kind of mean, but in this way that I understand that I'm like I would like I that's why I guess that's why I relate to the love interest character more is I would like if like I've known people like this and they're usually pretty damn cool once you talk to them for more than 5 seconds. Like that's why I relate to the love interest character, is because he's like putting aside the fact that her character is played by Haley Steinfeld, who's very good looking. It's like putting aside that, just thinking in the perspective of the character is like, yeah, if I was in his character's shoes, I would be interested in this girl wearing the funny jacket who's like standoffish but like interesting. I don't know. I do like these kinds of. This is the kind of like female protagonist that I'm, like, that is like clicks with me in a story. Is like witty, kind of sarcastic and like a little bit like cynical, but honest. I was trying to find the word, but yeah, it's honest. She's just a really honest character, and the movie captures. The movie also captures so well like one really bad day. Not that the whole movie takes place over a day. It doesn't take place over I don't know how much time, but like the last act or so of the movie, the last like 45 minutes or whatever, are one particularly unfortunate day where a series of unfortunate things happen, and it just like you're like I'm on that ride for the highs and lows of that experience culminate in a really great third act. Like the rest of the movie, I mean, it is kind of a vibe movie, and I like the vibes. I really like the vibes, and I like just following her character around. But the third act is where the characters they really are tested. A lot of the, not just her, but like the brother, the teacher, the best friend, their relationships with each other and their like strength is tested, and a lot of like hard truths that the characters don't talk about, particularly with the brother and the daughter. With the brother and the main character. I don't know why I'm saying the daughter. I guess because I'm thinking about the mom, who also has a lot of baggage. Her performance is great too. It's all great. I think that like upon watching it again and watching it a couple times, I can say this is like my favorite movie of the genre, definitely, of the like coming of age genre. I just feel like it's already really good for like the first two acts, but the last section of the story really like sends things to like like perfect. There's some actual like Oscar worthy, award worthy acting, some actual unironic best acting of all time moments coming from the third act of this movie, and the characters like emotional confrontation without it feeling like this complete downer or like over dramatized. It's still, everything that happens feels like something that could happen to a real teenager, but it portrays that feeling perfectly of like, in the grand scheme of things, a relatively mundane bad day, but when you're in it and you're young and like things are going wrong for you, it feels like the end of the world. It feels like movie dramatic, and that's what the drama of it comes from. How real the characters are, and how much you follow their journeys throughout the movie, and like latch on to what they are seeing as important. And I don't know, I'm getting a little emotional talking about it. I don't know when, I'll probably watch the movie again at some point, make somebody else watch it. I just really like, yeah, no, I can say I loved this movie. I think if I was to be objective, they're probably like a movie like Everything Everywhere All at Once. The last thing I reviewed is probably better just because it's operating on such a different level. But as far as like movies that I will rewatch, this is a movie that hits a really good emotional core, and it's a movie I would rewatch many times. I think it's without a doubt my favorite movie of the like coming of age genre, and who knows, the more I watch it, the more it may become one of my favorite movies, period. So you should watch Edge of 17. It's on Netflix. So you have a everybody has a Netflix subscription or knows somebody with a Netflix subscription. Go watch the movie. You won't regret it.